Sinister Nuns, the macabre history of America's forbidden convents. Prologue. Whispers behind stone walls. In the hush of candlelit halls and behind doors bolted from within, there once echoed whispers of terror that no prayer could silence. This is the tale of America's forbidden convents, places that were meant to be sanctuaries of piety but instead hid secrets soaked in sin and blood. We begin in the damp archives of forgotten dioceses, where brittle letters and blackened diaries reveal what polite society dared not admit. To understand how such places came to be, we must look back to the dawn of America itself. Chapter 1. Seeds of Silence 1780–1830. When the first Catholic communities took root in the new republic, their convents were built on faith and fear. Anti-Catholic sentiment ran high. Whispers of popish plots and cloistered vices haunted Protestant imaginations. Yet behind high stone walls, the convents themselves hid truths darker than rumor. In the winter of 1797, the small Carmelite convent of St. Agatha's in Maryland welcomed a novice named Sister Catherine. Diary entries from the prioress tell of Catherine's strange visions, faceless figures in the night, a scratching beneath the chapel floor. Weeks later, Sister Catherine was found dead at the foot of the altar, her face frozen in a scream. The convent claimed illness. The diary suggested something far worse. She would not renounce what she saw, so now she is silent forever. Such stories would have remained buried if not for what came next. Chapter 2. The Vanishing at St. Aurelia 1834. Street. Aurelia's convent stood in rural Massachusetts, surrounded by fog-wrapped woods. By day, it was a picture of pious order. By night, the sisters whispered of a spirit known only as the Gray One. Local legend speaks of Sister Philomena, a novice known for her beauty and fragile mind. She was last seen entering the crypt beneath the convent during Lent. When dawn came, she was gone. The Mother Superior ordered silence, but the townsfolk noticed the change. Shadows behind chapel windows, strange chants drifting into the night. A year later, construction workers repairing the crypt discovered a hidden chamber sealed with iron nails. Inside lay bones in the habit of a novice, Philomena's rosary still clutched in one hand. Rumors spread that she had uncovered a hidden rite, a midnight mass not of salvation but of damnation. Chapter 3. The Blood-Stained Cloister 1851–1865. In New Orleans, the convent of the Sacred Mercy rose amid yellow fever and civil unrest. The city's poor saw the sisters as angels, until the disappearances began. Dozens of orphan girls, taken in by the convent, were never seen again. The official explanation: disease. But letters smuggled from inside spoke of secret punishments for impure thoughts, locked cells where girls wasted to bone. The Civil War brought chaos, and Union soldiers briefly occupied the convent. One diary, kept by a young chaplain, records what they found: bloodstains in the novices' dormitory, iron manacles hidden beneath floorboards, and a reliquary holding not holy relics, but human teeth. The chaplain's final entry reads: "This house reeks not of sanctity, but of horror. May God forgive what was done in his name." Chapter 4. Shadows of the Black Veil 1872–1890. In the growing cities of the Midwest, convents became powerful institutions, running schools and hospitals. But power corrupts. At St. Gertrude's Convent in Chicago, Mother Heloise wielded absolute authority. Witnesses claimed she performed penances that left young novices scarred, both in body and spirit. One survivor, known only as Sister Agnes, fled in 1888. Her statement to a sympathetic priest described nights of forced silence, whippings, and something worse, a trial by grave, where novices were made to spend a night buried alive, their breath slipping through a single reed. Sister Agnes died of consumption soon after, but her testimony forced an inquiry. The convent was quietly closed, its records sealed by the archdiocese. The buildings were later demolished, but neighbors still spoke of sobbing heard beneath the earth during the demolition. Chapter 5. The Cult Within 1903–1920. By the new century, most American convents were places of charity and learning. But even then, darkness found root. In the Arizona desert, the Convent of the Immaculate Silence housed a secret sect. Diaries recovered decades later reveal a circle of purity, led by the charismatic Mother Seraphine. Mother Seraphine taught that the end was near, and only by ritual suffering could souls be saved. Novices were branded with iron crosses. Those who resisted were made to atone in underground cells. In 1915, a novice named Sister Bernadette died under suspicious circumstances. Her death mask, molded in plaster, still shows eyes wide with terror. When the scandal finally broke, the convent burned to the ground. Some said it was arson, others believed the sisters themselves set the fire, choosing martyrdom over disgrace. Chapter 6. The Forbidden Child 1933–1941. In rural Pennsylvania, the convent of St. Dymphna was known for taking in fallen women. Among them was a girl named Alice, sent there at 16 after becoming pregnant. Alice gave birth within the convent walls, but the child was never seen. Years later, an anonymous letter claimed the infant had been baptized then buried alive, a sacrifice to preserve the mother's soul from damnation. No record of the child exists, but construction workers in the 1970s uncovered a tiny coffin buried beneath the chapel floor. The coffin was empty. Alice spent her remaining years in a sanatorium, her mind broken. Her final words, recorded by a nurse: "She took him, in the black veil, under the black earth." Chapter 7. The House of Eternal Silence 1954–1968. In the hills of California, the Convent of the Seven Sorrows was founded as a retreat for contemplative prayer. But behind its high gates, new recruits faced crushing discipline. Survivors later spoke of weeks spent in absolute silence, broken only by the tolling of a funeral bell. The bell, they said, was rung for those who failed, sisters who tried to escape, or who spoke of leaving. One former novice, Sister Teresa, recounted being locked in a tiny stone cell for days, living on bread and water. At night, she heard scratching at the walls, as if something, or someone, was buried close by. In 1968, a storm caused a landslide, collapsing part of the convent. Rescue teams discovered a mass grave, skeletal remains of at least 6 women, some still in habits. The convent was closed, the order disbanded. The official explanation: accidental deaths. The truth was buried along with the sisters. Chapter 8. The Last Forbidden Convent 1977–1985. By the late 20th century, such stories seemed relics of a crueler age. But darkness does not die easily. In rural Vermont, the convent of St. Cecilia was founded by breakaway nuns from Europe. They preached strict poverty and absolute obedience. Local police grew suspicious after reports of screams in the night. In 1983, a young novice named Sister Claire tried to flee, barefoot in the snow. She was caught and vanished from sight. 2 years later, an investigation uncovered makeshift cells in the convent basement. Sister Claire's skeletal remains were found chained to the wall. Cause of death: exposure and dehydration. The Mother Superior was charged with manslaughter, but died of a stroke before trial. The convent was abandoned. Locals say that on cold winter nights, you can still hear weeping from the ruins. Epilogue. What remains? Across America, the walls of these forbidden convents have crumbled. Yet the questions linger. How could places of devotion become theaters of cruelty? How could vows of mercy mask such horror? Some blame power unchecked, others point to the fever of religious zeal twisted into fanaticism. And some, those who lived through it, whisper that darker forces moved unseen, feeding on fear and silence. Today, in archives and ruins, faint traces remain: scraps of cloth, charred floorboards, a cracked rosary beside an unmarked grave. And in every forgotten convent, the air still seems to hold a single, unspoken warning. Not all prayers are heard by heaven. Some are answered by something else. End. Sinister Nuns. The Macabre History of America's Forbidden Convents.